They promised me this year would be different. They promised laughter, hugs, the sound of footsteps filling my quiet house. Instead, I sat alone in front of a cake that nobody touched. Do you know what it feels like to listen for a knock that never comes? To keep glancing at the driveway, waiting for headlights, only to see your own reflection in the dark window staring back at you? That was my birthday evening. 68 years of living, and not one grandchild could be bothered to show up. The candles burned down crooked, dripping wax like tears I refused to shed. The frosting began to sweat under the warm kitchen light. My old clock ticked louder than usual, each second mocking me, still waiting, still waiting, still waiting. I'd baked that cake with my own hands. Chocolate, Ethan's favorite. Strawberries on top, Sophie's idea of fancy. I even made the whipped cream from scratch, though my wrists ached with every turn of the whisk. All of it for nothing. I checked my phone again. No messages. Just the same lie staring at me through the glow of the screen. A picture. There they were. My grandchildren. My blood. Standing around another cake in another house, balloons behind them, grinning like they hadn't just abandoned me. The caption read, "Happy birthday, Nana Joe. Full house, full hearts." Full house, my ass. Their house was full, but mine was empty. My kitchen smelled of sugar and smoke from candles I had blown out myself. Their cake was store-bought, perfect frosting, not a crumb out of place. Mine sat untouched, sinking into itself like even it knew it wasn't wanted. Do you know what kind of cruelty it takes to erase someone like that? To smile for the cameras, pretending they celebrated with me while I sat here, listening to the hum of my fridge instead of voices calling, "Grandma, we're here!" I pressed my hand on the table to steady myself. My fingers dug into the wood. I wasn't crying. Not anymore. Tears were wasted on people who thought I was disposable. I stood and walked to the mantel. Family photos lined up neatly. Dust on some, fingerprints on others. A younger me smiled in those pictures, holding babies who once clung to my neck like I was their whole world. Those babies had grown into wolves. Wolves, dressed in family skin. The house creaked around me, every sound sharp in the silence. A car passed outside, its headlights flashing through the curtains for just a second. My heart jumped. I thought maybe they'd come late. Maybe they'd remembered. But the car didn't stop. It just kept going, like everyone else. I went back to the kitchen. The cake stared at me, mocking me. Sweet, heavy, pointless. I opened the window. The cold autumn air rushed in, cutting through the stench of sugar and loneliness. It hit my face, sharp enough to sting, but it kept me awake. Awake to one truth. They think I'll forgive. They think I'll keep waiting. They think I'll sit in this chair year after year, grateful for scraps of attention. They don't know me at all. I closed the window and pulled my old notebook from the drawer. The leather cover was cracked, the pages yellowed. Once it held grocery lists and doctor's notes. Tonight, it became something else. I tore out the first blank page and wrote one word in thick, hard strokes. Revenge. The pen nearly ripped the paper. My breath came slow, steady, sharper than any knife I'd ever held in my kitchen. Step 1, I whispered, my voice low, steady, unfamiliar even to me. Gather proof. I didn't need their apologies. I didn't need their excuses. What I needed was evidence of every lie, every betrayal, every photo where they smiled like I didn't exist. That cake? I didn't throw it out. I left it on the table. Let it rot. Let the ants swarm. Let it stand as proof. Because from this night on, things were different. I wasn't the forgotten one anymore. I was the one watching. And my grandchildren, my ungrateful, lying grandchildren, were about to learn what happens when you push a grandmother too far. Morning came gray and bitter. The cake was still on the table, sagging like a corpse. I didn't touch it. Let it rot, a monument to their betrayal. I boiled coffee, too strong, too black. The bitterness sat heavy on my tongue, but it kept my mind sharp. I needed sharpness now, not sweetness. I pulled my phone closer, scrolling through their smiling faces, post after post. Emily with her new job promotion, Jacob bragging about his shiny new truck, Sophie flaunting her fancy college apartment, Ethan posting videos of his late-night parties like he was some kind of movie star. I studied those pictures like a detective studies fingerprints. My grandchildren had forgotten one thing. I wasn't blind. I wasn't senile. I could see through their little performances. Every post, every caption, every slip of arrogance, proof. They celebrated without me and then had the audacity to plaster my name across the internet for strangers to believe their lies. Happy birthday, Nana Joe. As if a hashtag could replace an embrace. I saved everything. Screenshots, copies, timestamps. My notebook filled fast. Names, dates, details. The more I wrote, the clearer it all became. I had raised a family of liars, and liars always leave tracks. By noon, I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Martha Green. Old friend. Widow. Nose sharp enough to cut glass. She picked up on the second ring. Joe? Well, I'll be damned. Haven't heard your voice since church potlucks. What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong, I said. My tone was flat, cold. I just need information, and you've always had a gift for noticing things. She laughed low and dry. Who do you want me to notice? My grandchildren. The line went quiet for a second. Then, oh, this I gotta hear. I didn't spill everything, not yet. Just enough. Their absence, their lies, the birthday humiliation. Martha didn't gasp or pity me. No, she chuckled. Joe, you always were too generous with that brood. About damn time you sharpened your claws. I'm done being the quiet grandmother. Good. You tell me what you want dug up and I'll get it. Kids nowadays leave their whole lives hanging online like laundry. Easy pickings. We made a plan. Martha would snoop, and I'd collect. A 2-woman army, seasoned and stubborn. That evening, I walked outside. The air was crisp, the leaves brittle under my shoes. Across the street, neighbors decorated for Halloween. Plastic skeletons on porches, orange lights tangled around fences. Kids laughed, running with paper masks. And there I was, an old woman with vengeance burning in her chest. Not a costume, not a game, real. I stopped by the library on Main Street. The young librarian, nervous and polite, showed me how to search public records on the computer. Property deeds, loans, court cases. It was all there, hidden in plain sight. Jacob's truck, not paid off. He was 3 months behind. Sophie's apartment, her tuition was hanging by the thread of loans. Ethan, caught with a misdemeanor for underage drinking last year, quietly sealed, but still there if you knew where to look. I printed the records, slid them into a folder, my folder, evidence building like storm clouds. On the way home, I passed a pawn shop. In the window, a row of dusty jewelry boxes, one cracked watch, a few faded coins. For a second, I froze. I knew that watch. My late husband's. It had vanished from my dresser 6 months ago. I stepped inside. The bell above the door rang sharp. The shop smelled of metal and old leather. A man behind the counter glanced up. "That watch," I said, pointing. My voice was ice. "Where did you get it?" He shrugged. "Kid brought it in. Blonde, college age. Said his grandma didn't need it anymore." Ethan. The blood in my veins boiled, but my voice stayed steady. "How much?" $50. I pulled out the cash, bought it back, and slipped it into my bag. My hands shook as I touched the cold metal. They had stolen from me, sold off my memories like spare junk. That night, I laid the watch beside my notebook. Proof. Hard, undeniable proof. They thought I wouldn't notice, that I'd be too old, too soft, too forgiving. They were wrong. I closed the notebook, but the rage didn't close with it. It grew, expanded, wrapped itself around me like armor. This wasn't just about a birthday anymore. This was about respect, about years of being treated like a ghost. I sat in the dark, my house quiet except for the ticking of that stolen watch, my husband's watch, my time. And as I listened, I whispered to myself, tick, tock. Their time is running out. I didn't sleep that night. The watch ticked beside me, steady, merciless. Every click of the second hand was a reminder they had crossed a line. By dawn, I had a plan. First, I brewed the strongest coffee I ever made. The bitterness steadied me. Then I spread everything across my table. Screenshots, loan records, Sophie's tuition debts, Jacob's overdue truck payments, Ethan's sealed arrest record, Emily's smug photos from her office downtown, and the watch, gleaming cold in the early light. It wasn't enough to know the truth. I needed to make them choke on it. Martha called at 8 sharp. "Joe, I've got dirt already. Your darling Sophie's been posting on a private Instagram. Well, private to everyone but me. She's whining about tuition, how she's broke, how she's scared the bank will repossess her laptop if she misses another payment. Boo-hoo, right?" "Send me everything," I said. "Already in your inbox." Click. Martha was efficient, like a sniper with gossip. I went to my old computer, slow as molasses, but still breathing. The emails loaded. There it was, screenshots of Sophie's posts, crying selfies, captions dripping with self-pity. No one understands how hard it is for me. If Grandma helped more, maybe I wouldn't be drowning in debt. My jaw clenched. She blamed me. Me, the woman who once worked double shifts in a nursing home just to send her mother on a school trip. I printed them. Proof. By noon, my folder was thick as a Bible. I slid it into my tote bag, tucked the watch inside too, and headed to the bank. The teller smiled politely. "How can we help you today, Mrs. Josephine?" "I want to review every automatic transfer, every payment going out of my accounts." She clicked her keyboard.
Looks like you have 3 recurring transfers, 2 to your grandchildren's accounts, Sophie and Jacob, and 1 direct payment to Emily's credit card. I nodded slowly. My blood boiled, but my face stayed calm. Cancel them, effective immediately. The teller hesitated. Are you sure? These payments have been... I said, cancel them. Her eyes widened, but she obeyed. Key after key, click after click, their lifeline drained away. My grandchildren had been feeding off me like leeches, and now the blood supply was cut. Walking out of the bank, the air felt sharper, cleaner. I hadn't even begun, and already I felt lighter. That evening, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. Then a text. Jacob, Grandma, did something happen? My truck payment bounced. Bank says the transfer didn't go through. Can you call me? I smiled. Not kind, not grandmotherly, cold. I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, another message. Sophie, Grandma, did you cancel my tuition transfer? I need that money. I can't lose my spot. Please tell me this is a mistake. I set the phone down and poured myself tea. Chamomile, steadying slow. Their panic was music, and I wasn't about to interrupt the song. By 9 p.m., Emily called. I let it ring. She left a voicemail, voice dripping with sugar but cracking underneath. Mom, I don't know what's going on. Jacob and Sophie say their payments didn't come through. If you're having trouble with the bank, just let me know. We can fix it. Fix it. That word made me laugh out loud in the empty kitchen. For years, I had been the one fixing everything for them. Broken cars, missed bills, surprise rent payments. And now they wanted to fix me. The next day, I made my first move public. I printed copies of their debts, their whining posts, their fake birthday pictures, and slid them into plain envelopes. Each one addressed to a different neighbor, with each one a little note. This is who they really are. Smile for the camera, rotten at the core. By afternoon, half the neighborhood knew the truth. I sat by my window with a cup of coffee, watching the ripples spread like gasoline on water. At 4 p.m., the phone rang again. Emily this time. I picked up. Finally. Mom, what the hell are you doing? Her voice was tight, furious. I'm drinking coffee, I said calmly. Don't play games. Jacob says the neighbors are talking about his truck being repossessed. Sophie's crying, saying people at her college saw those screenshots. Did you do this? I leaned back in my chair, looking at the rotting cake still on the table. The smell was sour now, sickly sweet. Perfect. I said yes, flatly. I did. There was silence. Then a sharp inhale. Why? You're ruining them. No, I snapped, my voice like a blade. They ruined themselves. I'm just letting the world see it. I hung up before she could answer. The house was quiet again, peaceful almost, except for the ticking of that watch. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Their time was running out. And this was only the first blow. The silence after my last call didn't last long. By morning, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Missed calls, frantic texts, half-baked apologies. Jacob, Grandma, please I can explain. It's not what you think. Sophie, I'm begging you, don't do this to me. Everyone's laughing at me in class. Emily, Mom, answer your damn phone. We need to talk in person. I didn't reply. Let them sweat.
Instead, I brewed tea and opened my folder. The pile of evidence had grown fat. Their debts, their whining, their betrayal. Every page was a weapon, and I hadn't even drawn blood yet. but I would. Around noon, Martha called again. Her voice was practically gleeful. "Joe, you'll love this. Ethan got himself in trouble last night. Some bar downtown. Fake ID. Tried to pick a fight with a bouncer. Police let him off with a warning 'cause he played the poor grandma card. Guess who he said he was staying with?" I gritted my teeth. "Me? Damn right. Told them he was visiting his sweet Nana Joe. Poor boy had nowhere else to go." My laugh was sharp and humorless. Perfect. That lie is going to eat him alive. That evening, I drove to the community center. Small brick building, always smelled like floor polish and old books. I'd been volunteering there for years, mostly filing papers or helping kids with homework. Nobody there knew much about my family, just that I showed up steady as the sunrise. This time, I brought a flash drive. On it, screenshots of every fake post, every arrogant photo, Sophie's whining about tuition, Jacob's truck debts, Ethan's sealed arrest record. I handed it to Sarah, the director. "Can you play this at the next town meeting?" I asked. She blinked. "What is it?" "Proof," I said, steady. "Proof that people around here aren't who they pretend to be. Consider it a lesson in honesty." She hesitated, then nodded. "If you're sure." Oh, I was sure. The meeting came 2 nights later. The hall smelled of burnt coffee and damp coats. Dozens of neighbors sat in metal chairs, chatting low. Then the projector lit up the wall. One by one, the images flashed. Jacob, drunk and shirtless, posing with his truck. Sophie, crying about debt. Ethan, handcuffed outside a bar, smirking like an idiot. Emily, plastered across Facebook, bragging about her perfect family dinner. The room went quiet. Murmurs started. Heads turned. I sat in the back, my shawl wrapped tight, face calm. No one looked at me. They didn't have to. I knew. When the meeting ended, people left whispering. By the morning, the whispers turned into full-blown talk. At the diner, at the gas station, at church. "Did you hear about the Joe kids? Thought they were perfect. Turns out they're a mess." By the weekend, Jacob's boss called him in, docked his pay for embarrassing the company. Sophie's college advisor demanded a meeting about her conduct online. Ethan's face was plastered across half the town already. Every parent told their kids, "Don't end up like him." And Emily? She came storming to my house. She didn't even knock, just banged the door open like she owned the place. Her heels clacked against my floor, her lipstick was smudged, her voice sharp. "Mom, what the hell did you do?" I stayed seated at the kitchen table, sipping my tea. "Close the door. You weren't raised in a barn." She slammed it shut. "Do you have any idea what you've done? You've humiliated us. The kids can't show their faces in town. Jacob might lose his job. Sophie's talking about dropping out. And Ethan? Well, Ethan sold your father's watch for $50. That stopped her. For a second, her eyes darted to the table where the watch gleamed under the lamp. Her voice cracked. "You bought it back?" I did. Because I care more about this family's past than any of you care about its future. Her face twisted. Anger, shame, fear, all fighting for space. "Why? Why are you doing this? You're our family." "No," I said coldly. "Family shows up. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't erase you from a birthday photo. You want to know why I'm doing this? Because you made me invisible, and now I'm showing the world exactly who you are." She stared at me, trembling. You'll regret this. I leaned forward, eyes sharp. No, Emily, you will. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. I didn't move, just sipped my tea, calm as stone. Outside, the town was buzzing. Inside, my house was quiet, the cake still rotting on the table. And in that silence, I knew one thing. This was only the beginning, because I hadn't even touched the will yet. The town's whispers grew louder with every passing day. I could hear them even when I didn't step outside. The gossip rode in on the cold November wind, slipped under my windows, and settled in my kitchen like smoke.
And I sat in the middle of it all, calm, steady, watching my grandchildren's perfect little worlds collapse, piece by piece. But humiliation wasn't enough. Not for me. Not for what they had done. It was time to hit where it hurt most, the future they thought they were entitled to. On Monday morning, I put on my best coat, the navy one with the pearl buttons. Not because I wanted to look pretty, no, because I wanted to look serious, like a woman about to cut throats with paper. The law office smelled of lemon polish and old carpet. The receptionist smiled politely, but her eyes flicked to my cane, to the lines on my face. She thought I was here for simple estate advice. She had no idea I was about to burn my own family out of history. Mr. Landry, the lawyer, was a quiet man with tired eyes. He'd drawn up my first will 20 years ago, back when my husband was still alive. Back when I still believed family meant something. Mrs. Josephine, he said gently, motioning me to sit. It's been a long time. What can I do for you? I laid the folder on his desk, thick, heavy, my arsenal. I want to change my will. He hesitated. Remove beneficiaries? All of them. His pen froze above the paper. All? I met his gaze, steady as stone. Every single one of those ungrateful children, they get nothing. Silence. Then a slow nod. He didn't argue. Lawyers don't argue with eyes like mine. Who do you want to name instead? He asked. I pulled a brochure from my bag and slid it across the desk. The women's shelter on Willow Avenue, the place that once gave me a room when my husband was gone and I had nothing but a suitcase and a crying son. They kept me alive. My voice didn't tremble. Now they'll inherit everything I've built. He looked at me, something like respect flickering behind his glasses. That's a powerful choice. It's not charity, I snapped. It's justice. My family doesn't deserve one dime of my sweat. We spent 2 hours rewriting every clause, every account, every property, every item in my house. By the time I left, the will was clean, sharp, bulletproof. And my children? Erased. I walked out into the crisp air, my coat pulled tight. For the first time in years, I felt taller. My steps didn't drag. My shadow fell long across the pavement. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with the rotten cake still in the corner. My phone buzzed again. Jacob, Grandma, please can we come talk? Just us kids,
We'll fix this. We'll make it right. I didn't answer. Sophie, Grandma, I swear I'll pay you back every cent. Just don't shut me out. I'm sorry. I deleted it. Emily, Mom, if you don't stop this madness, you'll die alone. Is that what you want? I laughed. Out loud. Bitter, sharp. Better alone than surrounded by vipers, I muttered. The next morning, a letter arrived, a formal one. Emily's handwriting on the envelope, stiff, angry strokes. Inside, a printed note. We demand an explanation. You are destroying your family. If you don't reconsider, you will regret it. Regret. That word again. They didn't understand. Regret belonged to them now. I folded the letter, slid it into my folder with all the rest. Proof of their arrogance, their entitlement. Another nail in the coffin they were building for themselves. That evening, Martha came by. She brought a bottle of cheap red wine and a grin sharp as a knife. You really did it, didn't you? She said, eyes twinkling. I did. Good. Now let them choke on it. We clinked glasses, and for the first time in months I felt warmth in my chest that wasn't rage. But later, when the house was quiet, I heard a sound outside. A car door. Whispered voices. My porch creaked under someone's weight. I froze, the phone in my hand, my heart steady, not panicked. I didn't need to look. I knew who it was. My family wasn't done yet. They thought they could scare me back into silence. But they didn't know I had already cut them out, legally, permanently.
And now I was ready for the next step. The creak on my porch that night wasn't the wind. I knew the sound of my own boards, one near the step, another by the rail. They groaned under weight, human weight. I didn't move at first. I sat at the kitchen table, the rotting cake still collapsed in the corner, the watch ticking beside me like a metronome. I sipped my tea, calm. Let them make the first move. A shadow crossed my window, then a knock. Soft, too soft. "Grandma," a boy's voice, Jacob. I didn't answer. Another knock, harder this time. "Grandma, please, open the door." I rose slowly, my knees stiff, my cane in hand. I didn't unlock the door. I just spoke through it, my voice sharp as broken glass. "You lost the right to call me Grandma when you sold your grandfather's watch." Silence. Then a mutter. "That was Ethan, not me." "Doesn't matter. You all laughed when you left me alone." Another voice joined, Sophie, high-pitched, shaky. "We're sorry. We didn't mean it. We'll do better, we promise. Just stop." Stop? That word nearly made me laugh. I've stopped already. Stopped paying your bills, stopped forgiving, stopped pretending. Jacob's voice cracked with anger. "You can't just cut us out like this. You're our blood." I leaned against the door, cold wood pressing into my forehead. Blood is nothing without loyalty. You forgot that.
Their footsteps shifted, whispers, then tires crunching gravel. They left, but I knew it wasn't over. The next morning, Martha came by with her sharp eyes and sharper tongue. I told her what happened. She snorted. "They're rattled. Good. Means you're hitting the right nerves." But I saw it in her gaze. She was worried. Worried they'd push harder. And she was right. By Friday, my mailbox was stuffed with letters, some angry, some desperate. "Sophie, Grandma, I'll lose my scholarship. Please, please don't do this to me." "Jacob, you've humiliated me in front of everyone. Why? What did I do that was so unforgivable?" "Emily, Mom, I'm warning you. This isn't just hurting them, it's hurting me. If you don't fix this, people will know you've lost your mind." Lost my mind. That one stung, but only for a moment. Then it hardened into steel, because I realized that was their last weapon. Discredit me, paint me as the senile old woman who didn't know what she was doing. Fine. Two could play that game. I called Mr. Landry, the lawyer. "I want everything notarized twice over. Certified copies, witness signatures. I don't care if it takes all day. I want no loopholes." He didn't ask questions. By sundown, I had a folder thick with stamped papers, my will, my revocations, my instructions, all clean, all final. That evening the phone rang. I let the machine take it. Ethan's voice came through, slurred, half drunk. "You think you're smart, old lady? You think you can just erase us? We'll see who gets the last laugh." The line clicked. Silence. I stood in the dark, listening to the echo of his threat. My hand didn't tremble. Not anymore. Instead, I pulled out my notebook and wrote one line under the word revenge. "When they come for me, I'll already be waiting." And oh, they would come. That much I knew. The cake was nearly black with mold now, sagging into itself. I left it there. A warning, a reminder. Every time I walked past it, I thought, this is what family looks like when it rots. Saturday night, it happened. Headlights in my driveway, doors slamming, voices raised, all four of them this time, Emily leading, the grandchildren trailing behind like guilty shadows. The pounding on my door rattled the frame. "Mom, open up. We're not leaving until you talk to us." I stood in the hallway, folder of documents clutched in one hand, cane in the other. My heart beat steady, slow. I opened the door, not wide, just a crack. Enough for them to see my eyes. Emily's face was flushed, her hair wild. She had all kinds of lines on her face. "This has gone far enough. You're sick, Mom. You don't know what you're doing, but we're here now, and we're going to fix this, whether you like it or not." Her words dripped with control, the same tone she used when she thought she was in charge. I smiled, cold, thin. "Then I hope you brought a lawyer, because everything is already signed."
She froze. The others shifted, confused. I lifted the folder, tapped it once for emphasis. "You don't own me. You don't own my house. You don't own my life. Not anymore." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. Jacob clenched his fists. Ethan sneered, muttering something under his breath. Emily's jaw tightened like stone. "This isn't over," she hissed. "No," I said, pushing the door closed. Slow, deliberate. It's just beginning. The latch clicked. Silence settled again, heavy but clean. I walked back to the kitchen, set the folder on the table, and looked at the blackened cake one last time. Then I picked it up, carried it outside, and dumped it into the trash. It was done. The symbol of their betrayal was gone. And now? Now I was ready for the next strike. Because they thought they could scare me into silence, but they hadn't realized I wasn't scared anymore. I was hunting. Sunday morning came with a sharp knock, not the timid kind from guilty grandchildren. No, this one rattled the door like a warrant. I peered through the peephole. Emily stood there, dressed like a politician, black blazer, pearl earrings, lips painted too red. Beside her, Jacob with his jaw tight, Sophie clutching her phone like a lifeline, Ethan swaying on his feet, pretending to be sober. And behind them, a stranger, a man in a suit with a briefcase. They'd brought a lawyer. I opened the door just enough for my words to cut through. Bold, showing up on a Sunday like debt collectors. Emily forced a smile. "Mom, this has gotten out of hand. We're here to help you. Mr. Keene will explain." The lawyer stepped forward, voice smooth, rehearsed. "Mrs. Josephine, your family is concerned about your well-being. They believe you may no longer be capable of handling your financial affairs. If necessary, we will petition the court for guardianship." Guardianship. That word sliced deeper than any insult. They wanted to declare me incompetent, strip me of my rights, reduce me to a child in my own house. I let the silence stretch until their smugness started to wilt. Then I smiled, slow, cold. "Mr. Keene, do you know what's in this folder?" I tapped the leather binder I'd kept by the door. Certified documents, witnessed, notarized, ironclad. My will, my trust, my revocations, every transfer canceled, every account sealed. You can wave your little petitions all you want, but the ink is already dry. His eyes flickered. Just for a second. He hadn't expected me to be armed with paperwork sharper than any blade. Emily's voice rose now, desperate. "Mom, think about what you're doing. You're destroying your own family." I leaned closer, my eyes burning into hers. "No, Emily, I'm exposing what you really are." Jacob stepped forward, fists clenched. "You can't do this. You raised us. We're yours." "You were mine until you left me alone with a cake rotting on the table while you faked smiles for Facebook." Sophie's tears spilled, streaking her makeup. "I didn't mean to." "Don't lie to me. You meant every silence, every ignored phone call, every laugh when I wasn't looking." Ethan finally spoke, slurring. "You think you're some kind of hero, Grandma? You're just bitter. Nobody cares." I turned to him slowly. "Care enough to sell your grandfather's watch?" His smirk faltered. Jacob's eyes widened. Sophie gasped. Emily whipped her head toward him. "You did what?" He stammered, but the damage was done. The family they tried so hard to present as perfect cracked wide open on my porch. I let the silence bleed out until they were choking on it. Then I whispered, steady and sharp. "I warned you, blood means nothing without loyalty." And then, with deliberate slowness, I shut the door in their faces. Their voices rose outside, yelling, cursing, pleading, but I didn't open it again. I sat at my table, folder in front of me, the ticking watch by my side. By evening, Martha called. She'd heard everything, of course she had. News in this town traveled faster than wildfire. "You've got them cornered, Joe. Now finish it."
I stared at the black night outside my window, the reflection of my own hard eyes staring back. Finish it. Yes, it was time.
Time for the final strike. The night after they brought that lawyer, I slept like a soldier before battle, light, restless, but steady. My folder lay on the chair beside my bed, the ticking watch on the nightstand. Weapons, both of them. At dawn, I brewed coffee strong enough to burn, sat by the window, and waited. Because I knew they wouldn't give up after one failed ambush. They were desperate now, and desperation makes people reckless. Sure enough, by noon, a letter slid under my door. Thick paper, bold print, a court summons. They'd actually filed for guardianship. My children, my grandchildren, my own blood dragging me into court like I was a senile fool who couldn't tell sugar from salt. I laughed, sharp, bitter. Then I called Mr. Landry. "Good," he said, his voice calm as a scalpel. "Let 'em drag you in. They have no idea what you've prepared." The hearing came 3 weeks later. A gray, rainy day. The courthouse smelled of wet umbrellas and old wood. They sat on one side, Emily stiff in her pearls, Jacob glaring, Sophie pale, Ethan twitching in his seat like a caged animal. Their lawyer polished his glasses, confident, smug. And then there was me, navy coat, pearl buttons, folder in hand, Martha at my side, chin high, eyes sharp. Not family, but better than family. The judge called my name. My voice didn't tremble. I laid my documents on the table, one by one, like cards in a winning hand. Bank records, canceled transfers, screenshots of lies, public posts, private messages, Sophie's tuition breakdown, Jacob's repossession notice, Ethan's sealed arrest record, Emily's forged signatures on forms she'd tried to slip past me years ago. Oh yes, I had those too. The courtroom buzzed like a hive as each page slid across the desk. Their faces drained color. Finally, I set the watch down on the table. The judge raised an eyebrow. "My husband's," I said, "stolen and pawned by the boy who claims he loves me. $50, Your Honor. That's what they think I'm worth." Silence. Thick. Heavy. The judge cleared his throat. "Mrs. Josephine, are you certain you wish to remove these individuals from your estate entirely?" I met his gaze without blinking. "Certain enough to sign in blood, if you ask." He nodded slowly. "Then there is no case for guardianship. Petition denied." His gavel cracked like thunder. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I simply gathered my papers, tucked the watch back into my purse, and stood. My cane clicked against the floor, steady, final. Behind me, voices rose, angry, desperate. Emily hissing my name, Jacob swearing, Sophie sobbing, Ethan muttering curses under his breath. But the judge's gavel had spoken, and for once, they couldn't twist the ending. Outside, the rain had stopped. The air smelled clean, sharp. I walked down those courthouse steps with Martha at my side. She leaned close and whispered, "Joe, you burned them alive without striking a single match." I just nodded, and I'll never smell smoke in my house again.
That evening, I went home, lit a single candle, and cut myself a slice of fresh cake. Not chocolate, not strawberry, lemon, bright, tart, mine. I ate it slowly at the kitchen table, savoring every bite. No rotten frosting, no empty chairs. Just me and silence that felt like freedom. Later, I wrote in my notebook one final entry beneath the word revenge. They erased me once. I erase them forever. The difference is, I'm still standing. I closed the book, placed the watch on top of it, and blew out the candle. Darkness wrapped around me, warm, safe. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. For the first time, I felt untouchable. And if anyone ever asked what became of my family, I'd tell them the truth in one cold sentence. They had a grandmother once, but they lost her.